Sit back and listen to this extremely interesting story. We need to talk. Tom, I'm 45 and the girls are off at college. I just want to have some fun, some excitement. I want to go on a date. Blah, blah, blah. You know I love you. Blah, blah, blah. It's just something I need to do for myself. I stood up, grabbed my keys, and drove to the dinner for a bite to eat. When I returned, my wife Kelly was waiting for me and wanted to talk more. I put my hand up. I've heard enough. I went straight to our bedroom, changed, brushed my teeth, and went to bed. Kelly soon joined me. Tom, it's just a bit of fun, she said, teasing me. I grabbed Kelly's hand, pulling it away. I got up, grabbed my pillow, and went down to the den. I grabbed a throw blanket and slept on the couch. Kelly didn't follow me. She thought I needed time alone to accept that she would be going out on a date tomorrow night with someone else, I guess. I was up Saturday morning. I woke up and returned to our bedroom to shower, shave, and dress. We didn't say a word to each other. Kelly just watched me. She followed me as I walked out of the house, got in my truck, and drove off. I had some things I needed to do today, but first was a stop at our local dinner for breakfast. I thought, I'll forget about it for now. The rest of the day I did my best to stay away from the house and Kelly. It was 4:30 when I got back. I thought Kelly might have come to her senses knowing how upset I was. I could hear Kelly in the shower getting ready for the date. My upset did not change her mind. I went to the study, retrieved my Colt, poured myself a Jameson on ice, and waited for Kelly. So there I was sitting at the kitchen table with my Colt single-action army revolver by my side. Kelly came from the bedroom. She was dressed in something I had never seen her wear for me. It was tight, low, cut, and revealing. She looked good, but she wasn't looking good for me. Tom, where were you all day? I didn't respond. Tom, please, let me have this. I said nothing. Tom, it's going to happen. My date is picking me up in a few minutes. I still said nothing. I was just waiting for Kelly's date to come to the door so I could put a bullet between his eyes. I'm not the sort to back away from a fight. I don't believe in shrinking from anything. It's not my speed. I'm a guy who meets adversities head on. Love that quote. There was a horn beep. Kelly went to kiss me, but I pulled away. Kelly turned and looked at me once more before she went off to meet her date. I put the gun on the table and downed my Jameson. She said she loved me, and this was just something she needed to do for herself. Well, I have something I need to do for myself too. I'm a contractor with my own business and do quite well for myself. Kelly works for a law firm, and while she doesn't make as much money as I do, she still does okay for herself. I had 3 homes in the process of being built and one almost complete, a vacation house on a lake. I was going to surprise Kelly with it as an anniversary gift this July. Anyway, the lake house is where I will now be living for the next month or 2. It was about a 3-hour drive. I packed up all my clothes and other items I wanted to take with me. Before I left, I placed a bullet from the revolver on the table right where I had been sitting. I placed my wedding band next to the bullet, and I left Kelly a simple letter. This bullet would have gone between the eyes of your date if he stepped foot inside my house. Since he hadn't walked in, but you walked out, I put the bullet to my head. Before I pulled the trigger, I came to my senses. You're not worth it. I've lost all respect for you, and the bullet still belongs between the eyes of your lover. Tell him to watch his back. Kelly, it was after midnight when I returned home from my date with Brian. Brian is a partner at the law firm I work for. I'm an administrative assistant. Brian has been after me for months. He takes me out for lunch and buys me little gifts. He's a nice guy, knows the right things to say, and is used to getting what he wants. I know what his intentions were, and he never hid them from me. Kelly, one day you will go on a date with me, and you will be mine. I will let you experience a real man. I would just roll my eyes. Well, he wore me down, I guess. The other girls in the office helped him too. Brian had a reputation for being a good lover. A few of the girls knew firsthand. Just do it and ask for forgiveness later. They told me. I couldn't do that. I had to be honest with Tom. I knew, or rather hoped, he would understand. Tom wasn't happy and wouldn't talk to me, but I thought he would get over it. He knows I love him and it was only a date. Would it lead to more? I wasn't sure, but I wouldn't go any further than a date without talking to Tom first. I returned to our home, and Tom's truck wasn't in the driveway. Odd for Tom to be out this late. I was hoping he wasn't so upset that he was out at a bar drinking. I wouldn't want him driving home drunk. As I entered the house and flicked on the lights, it felt cold. I don't know how to explain it. I went to our bedroom to change and get ready for bed. As I walked into our room, I noticed it right off. Tom was gone. He took all his clothes and other items. This was not what I had expected. I called Tom and left him a message, but he never responded. I went to bed and tried my best to sleep. I would be spending tomorrow trying to find where he was. As I tried to sleep, all I could think about was how much fun Brian and I had on our date. Was there anything more? No, or should I say, not this time. Oh, Brian pushed me to the edge, his hand on me as we danced, and I could feel his excitement on me as we danced to the slow songs. Was I close to giving up and letting him take me to the motel he was offering for the night? Not this time. A night like you've never experienced with another man. He said, great time, he wanted to blow my brains out. It won't happen. I had to talk to Tom before I decided to spend time alone with someone. I wanted to go home and let Tom be with me. If nothing else, Brian piqued my interest. I woke up Sunday morning and reached for Tom. He wasn't there. All at once the guilt hit me like a ton of bricks. How could I have been so selfish? I showered, dressed, and went to the kitchen to make coffee and to think about where Tom could have gone. I broke down in tears when I saw the note and Tom's wedding band. The bullet was very disturbing too. Could Tom kill someone? Tom has a few guns and he loves his westerns, but to kill another man? I was even more disturbed that Tom thought of killing himself and that he had lost respect for me. I pulled myself together and started calling Tom's friends. Please tell him to call me if you hear from him. Oh, no, it was just a little argument. My excuses went on and were different depending upon who I spoke to. I spent the entire day and found nothing. I kept calling Tom and leaving messages, but he didn't respond. Sleep was hard that night, but I was up Monday morning and off to work. I had to warn Brian. To my surprise, Brian had been mugged Saturday evening sometime after dropping me off at home. He was in the hospital. My God, I thought to myself, could Tom have done this to Brian? This was all my fault. The girls asked me all kinds of questions. They knew I went out with Brian on Saturday night. Tom did that to Brian. That was the first question before they started asking me how the date went, and if there was anything else. Of course, I said, no, he would never do anything like this to anyone. As I said it, I knew I was lying to myself. Tom most certainly would do something like this. I'm surprised Brian isn't dead. I was in such awe over Brian that I thought my husband would accept this stupid idea of mine. No, it was just a date. Nice date, but nothing more. I told the girls to their disbelief. You should have spent time with him and just apologized if your husband found out. They all agreed. As the week went on, I still hadn't heard from Tom, but I did receive a bank text informing me of a withdrawal from our joint savings and checking. Tom took half. Oh, how quickly a perfect marriage and 20 of the best years of my life went down the toilet. Brian was a litigator at the firm, so the police came to the office and asked the other partners if anyone could have had a grudge against Brian. Somehow it came out that he was a ladies' man and I had gone out with him that Saturday night. I had to go to the police station for questioning. Did you have a nice evening? The officer named Bill asked me. What was I going to do, lie? Yes, it was very nice. Tell me about it, he asked. Brian picked me up and at 5:30 we went to Club Blue. We had dinner and danced, and it was after midnight when he dropped me off at my house. It was an officer named Rick who took the position. He was unpleasant. You were with him. Is that why your husband beat up your boss Brian and sent him to the hospital? No. I couldn't get a sentence out. Is your husband into that sort of stuff? He asked next. What sort of stuff? I asked. He likes to watch his wife spend time with other men. Maybe he likes to be with men too. Or maybe he likes it when you come back after your lover and tell him how good it was with another man, a real man. Is that what he likes? I hear that more and more guys are into this kind of thing. You found someone more manly and lost all respect for your husband. Rick continued to pester me. It says here you have 2 kids. Are they your husband's or are they one of your other lovers? They were playing good cop, bad cop, and I was in tears. What have I done? Is that what Tom thought? I didn't want him to be my cuck. It was just a date. No, he is not into anything like that. I shouted. He left me because I wanted to go on a date and that was it. He's not my cuck and he wouldn't stand for anything like that, so he left me. I put my elbows on the table with my head down. What have I done? I was in tears. Rick started to walk out of the room but turned. I'd divorce you if it was me. Officer Bill finished questioning me after Rick left. I told him everything, how I sprung it on Tom and he wouldn't talk to me, but I went on the date anyway. Tom left his wedding band on the table and just a few days ago took half of our cash. I didn't tell them anything about the letter or the bullet. I was in tears, and I knew Officer Bill didn't care. I was glad Officer Rick wasn't in the room to make me feel even worse. There were more problems that Brian and I never thought of. Brian is married. His wife had been away but returned when she heard Brian was in the hospital. It was a few days before Officer Bill and Officer Rick visited her. She found out I was dating Brian, and now Brian is begging his wife not to divorce him. Despite all the trouble he's caused me, I almost want to tell her that he's also friends with the 3 girls in the office that I know of. But I was silent. Brian's wife, I had never seen her before, showed up at my door one evening. "Can I help you?" I asked. She hit me in the face, and that woman hit me hard. "You're a home wrecker." There were a few more words she used to describe me. It was time for me to do what I had been avoiding. I called my daughters and told them that their father left me, would most likely divorce me, and that I deserve it. "Mom." My daughter Tara spoke first. "I want the truth, and if you are lying, I will cut you out of my life forever. Do you understand me? I'll tell you anything. Have you been with this man?" I was shocked when my daughter said, "No, we never did that." "But did you want to?" my daughter Sarah asked. "I don't know. Maybe I just don't know. I planned on talking to your father." "And what?" Tara was angry. "Did you expect Dad to say why yes?" I don't know what I was thinking. I tried to explain what was going on in my head and why I thought I needed this. The girls at work, how nice Brian was and his seduction of me. They just shut me up. "So now," Sarah asked, "because of you, there is a warrant out for Dad's arrest. Mother, Dad was pissed at you and came to see us and stayed the weekend. Girls, please don't lie and say anything that would get yourselves into trouble with the police, please." Then Tara broke my heart. Dad put a gun to his head. Tom must have called the girls and told them everything. I was in tears begging for forgiveness. I composed myself as they continued to yell at me. "Don't ever call us again," Sarah shouted. "It's been 2 months since I ruined my life. I have a terrible reputation in the office, despite the fact that 3 other women were with Brian, and I only went on dates with him. I still had a job, but Brian now hated me and gave me all the horrible work we usually give an intern. Brian's wife was divorcing him, and he was blaming it on me. Brian was in the hospital a 2nd time. What are the chances of getting mugged twice in 2 months? I was glad he got mugged the 2nd time. He was telling his wife that I had seduced him. There was still a warrant out for Tom. They had no evidence, and I was never going to say anything about the letter, which I burned, or the bullet that I carry with me as a reminder of how I ruined my marriage. And to top it off, my daughters hated me. I didn't have Tom's money, and he wasn't helping to pay any of the bills. I had credit card debt under my name, mortgage, and utilities to pay, so money was getting tight, and that's when I got a phone call. "Kelly, it's Tom. I miss you. You can be with anyone." No, Tom, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I don't deserve you, but I want you. I don't want anyone but you. Please, Tom, come home." I had to catch my breath. "No, don't come home. The police will arrest you if you come home. I just left the police station. I have been working on a lake house in Pennsylvania. I told them all about you and that I had to get away. I had my crew with me the whole time." "Then who beat Brian?" I asked. "Who cares anyway?" Tom fumed. "I know I don't. This rascal is telling his wife that I seduced him. I've had it with him. I had to answer the cops' questions and give names of who I was with." Tom said, "I'm sorry, Tom. Please come home. I have a few things to do, but yes, I'll be home later today." Tom said. I was so happy that Tom was back. I don't know if my daughters were going to be as indulgent, but Tom was back, and I was never going to be that selfish again. Tom, for those of you who think I shouldn't have taken Kelly back, always remember, tomorrow hopes we have learned something from yesterday. I was going to make sure Kelly learned from her mistake and wouldn't make a mistake again. Kelly would learn what life would be like without me. I couldn't let it go on for more than a few months since my name is on the mortgage, and I can't have banks thinking I can't make my payments. I take out building loans all the time. I hoped that Kelly would not go on her date, but she did. I had Harry, one of my guys and longtime friend, waiting for them just a few houses down the street and ready to follow them. After I loaded my truck, I met Harry at Club Blue, keeping an eye on Kelly and taking pictures. My good drinking buddy Officer Rick, whom I met through Harry years ago, was with us too. Rick kept me from putting a bullet between Brian's eyes, or at least brandishing a gun in the club. I hoped Brian would set foot in my house when he picked up Kelly. He would be horrified to see me aiming my Colt at his head. We watched Kelly while Harry and Rick made bets on how far Kelly would go with this guy. They played around trying to calm me down. I'd give it to Kelly as far as kissing is concerned. She wanted to date another man, not spend time with him. I would have broken up with Kelly if it had been more than kissing. Brian would have gotten worse than a visit to the emergency room if it had been anything more than kissing. So Kelly and Brian left and we followed them in Harry's car. Rick was there to make sure I didn't kill anyone. Kelly got a second chance because she wasn't with Brian. I didn't like the goodnight kiss or Brian's hands on my wife's figure, but I soon felt better. We followed Brian, who just happened to stop at a bodega on the way home. Then I came up behind him, put a rope around his neck, and pulled him behind the building. It was dark and there was no light, so I just took a chance that he wouldn't see my face. I beat Brian badly, several broken ribs, black eyes, and missing several teeth. You feel better? Harry asked me. I would rather have put a bullet between his eyes. I responded. Let's go, Marion, Brian said, and we all laughed. Harry took me back to my truck. We dropped his car off at his place and we drove off to the lake house in Pennsylvania. Harry my alibi, and I drove from Ely to Pennsylvania together. The rest of the crew showed up on Tuesday. We had already been taking trips to the house as we were building it, and most times we would even stay over. Brian's second beating was not from me. He really did get mugged. Harry and I couldn't stop laughing when Rick told us that. Rick was the one who let Brian's wife know her husband was cheating on her. He said he received an anonymous tip and a picture of a woman with Brian. He asked if she knew her husband was cheating on her. That was enough to get the ball rolling on a divorce. Who is she? Brian's wife asked. Rick laughed as he told me the story. Tom, I told her your wife's name, first and last, your address and telephone number. I figured I would just cover all the bases and let her have at it. Even my daughters were involved. I told them everything except for the part where I kicked the shit out of Brian, but they knew it was me. I told my daughters that I was going to give their mother a second chance. Her only second chance. The girls' task was to make their mother feel guilty, especially since I almost killed myself. I told the girls that I left a letter for their mother. I told them that I didn't really put the gun to my head. I just told their mother that I had in the letter. So, did I do the right thing by giving Kelly a second chance? I think I did. Kelly, it's been a year since that stupid Saturday night when I thought I was special and deserved more than my husband and what he does for me. We had a big 4th of July party at the lake house. It was a lot of fun and family and friends were welcome to spend the weekend with us. I was actually a little nervous when I saw Officer Rick enter the house with Harry. That was until I saw Tom and Rick hugging each other tightly. What's going on here? I said to myself. Then Rick came up to me. I'm sorry I was so hard on you, but you deserved it. I gave him a hug and a big kiss. Thank you. Then I looked at Tom standing with Harry and my daughters. They were just staring at me and Rick. No, he couldn't have planned it all, could he have? The end who understands the reference to Marion. Subscribe to our channel so that your second C, Gaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story. Because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.